All right, today you are more than likely ready to start cutting shapes out of your photogram. You are going to need an X-Acto knife. You can get these from the desk up in the front of the room. You will need an envelope to keep your little pieces in. You're going to need your photogram. You should have your image outlined in black Sharpie. And then you should also have a piece of scrap mat board to cut on. Mat board is kind of a thicker cardboard, and it's located on the counter with all of your photogram supplies. Please do not use the photogram templates to cut on. Even though they're made of the same material, I would like to keep them free of all of these little cut marks. Please know that you must have a cutting board underneath your X-Acto knife so you don't cut the tables. So here's my sample that I'm cutting for you guys today. Like I said, I've got my envelope set aside. Envelopes are on the counter with your photogram supplies. Some of them may have names on them or addresses. These are recycled envelopes. You can keep them in your cubbies until you are done with the project. X-Acto knives. If you are not familiar with how these work, there is a blade that fits into the top of the knife. The first thing you should do is make sure that the top of the knife is secure by turning left to make sure that the knife blade is not going to fall out as you're cutting. When you're holding your X-Acto knife, you should be holding it like a pencil, and you should be using it blade down. Please be mindful of your hands when you're cutting. You don't want to be cutting towards your hands. That is not safe. You should have your hands on the outside of your designs, and you should just be mindful of where you're cutting. So you guys are going to be cutting out anything that is black in your photogram. So I'm going to have to remove the black lines from my photogram. So when I'm cutting, I'm going to go ahead and position this in a way that is comfortable to work with for me. And I'm going to start with this middle line. So when I say I have to cut out the black line, I'm going to cut on either side of this black line. So I'm going to just press my X-Acto knife into the paper, and I'm going to cut along the right side. I'm going to cut along the left side. And then I'm going to very carefully cut along the top and the bottom of this shape as well. The black line is going to come away from my design. This black line is not a piece I need to keep. I can throw away all of the black. Now you can see I've made a spot that light can shine through to expose the photo paper underneath. Moving over here, this shape. Same thing. I'm going to cut on either side of that black line. I'm going to work slowly and carefully to make sure that I'm cutting on the black line. You can always rotate your paper if you need to, or cut this in smaller pieces if you need to work a little bit at a time. Because this shape is black, I don't need to keep these pieces, so it's okay if I cut them to make it easier to work with. So I'm going to cut out this shape here. And again, because this is black, I don't need to keep any of this. Moving over to this shape here. This is probably going to be your eyes, your lips. There are definitely going to be pieces that look like this, where part of the inside is red, but there is a shape that is black around it. So I need to cut again on either side of the black line. Because I'm cutting on either side of the black line, that means pieces that are red are going to fall out of my design. This piece right here, it is important to save this piece because we will be taping this back into our final design. That's where the envelope comes in. You're going to go ahead and put your little red pieces inside the envelope, and you're going to save those. And we're going to essentially be putting our photogram back together like a puzzle. So the inside is out, that was red, I'm keeping that part. Now I can cut on the other side of the black line. And I'm going to be removing this piece of black. And because it is black, I do not need to save it. There we go. All right, so you are essentially removing the black from your photogram. So when we put this back together, I'll take my little pieces from my envelope and I'll use my newsprint drawing underneath. And we are essentially gonna put the pieces back together like a puzzle. So this one would look like this, okay? So save your red pieces, throw away your black pieces. You should be cutting on either side of the black line. You are removing all of the black from your photogram. Please use your X-Acto knives safely. Know that the blade is sharp. Please, again, make sure that the blade is tightened before you start cutting. Make sure you're holding it like a pencil. You should be cutting towards you, but keep your hands out of the way so you're not cutting your hands.